Bobbity. Give me 1 second. Shoot. Big. That's your brother? That's your brother. Bear with me 1 second, Israel. 1 second. All right, Shalom, Israel. How about Shemar Shabbat Thumb? How is Shemar Thumb about Shemar Shah? Priest and officer, die, hold it down until 12 show. General Muhammad gets here. Second night of the Feast of Purim. Gotta understand, man, like our observances and our high holy days are important. You gotta understand, man, as the Lord's chosen people, you know what I mean? We have high holy days. Now, Purim is not a high holy day, it's an observance. You know what I mean? But we observe Purim because we remember, man, how the Lord raised up a powerful priest and prophet Mordecai and raised up a powerful sister, man. You know what I mean? That stood up against the evil that was getting ready to be done to us by one of our enemies, man, Haman. And we gotta understand too, you know, Haman's descendants are still on this earth. Haman was a descendant of who? Agag. That's why they called Haman the Agagite, meaning he's a descendant of Agag. And you gotta understand something too. Go into a little history behind that. Haman today, or Agag, would be the so-called Jew. They're of the seed of Amalek. Amalek is a son of Esau, the devil that the Bible speaks of. They're the ones that stole our identity. They're the ones that tell us, you know what I mean, that we're anti-Semitic. Like Karam, y'all, they throw that word, they throw that phrase around all the time, and they don't even realize that they're anti-Semitic. Now, you're quick to call us anti-Semitic, and here's the thing, man, it's really anti-Shemitic. Right. Because we are the descendants of Shem. And who was chosen out of Shem? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was later changed to Israel, Yasha Allah. And that's us, Black, Latino, and First Nation man and woman. We are the princes of the power, the so-called Jew. Matter of fact, Quatazar, give me Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Let me get that first. I gotta bring this up. We have to understand too, man, that this truth is important. And it's very important for us to know who we are, because they are walking around with our identity that they stole. And last time I checked, you know what I mean, with identity theft was a felony. Identity theft is a crime. And they walking around masquerading as a people that they're not. They are not those people. I'm going to show it to you. Read Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9.
It's the book of Revelation chapter 2 verse 9.
Go ahead.
I know thy works and tribulation.
I know thy works and tribulation, man. It says, I know thy works and tribulation. We are the ones that are going through tribulation. and even the works, man. Like, you got to understand, if you cross-examine this with our oppressor, the so-called Jew, you will find out that he ain't going through tribulation. They have been repaid how many times over for the so-called Holocaust, for the oppression that they face. They still go out there and seek, you know what I mean, old, decrepit, 90-year-old Nazis, you know what I mean, that's in hiding somewhere in some nursery home, and get justice for bringing them in for their crimes. And here's the thing. They should do that. They holding a grudge against them for what happened with them. But what about what you did to our people? What about you walking around with our identity? And that's the thing. They believe they're the only ones that deserve justice. Well, our God is going to give us justice. When we get our, when we get our kingdom back, man, when we get our land back, and when Christ returns and reigns on this earth, oh boy, they're going to be in captivity. But Christ has reassured us that I know thy works. I know thy tribulation. They don't know what real tribulation is. If you Black or Latino, you know what tribulation is. You know. We don't even got to bring it up or talk about it. You can't live in the ghetto or the barrio, Karam, and not go through tribulation. Let me tell you something. You can't be a so-called rich Negro or rich Latino and not know tribulation. You're still going to go through it. They're still going to remind you every day that you are a nigga. They are still going to remind you every day that you are a spick, or whatever slurs they have and bywords they have for us. Lord, listen, man, our King is saying, I know thy works and tribulation. Keep going.
And poverty.
And poverty. God damn, that's the one that hit hard, I bought. Poverty. We broke, baby. That's something that we can't accuse them of being. They don't know what poverty is. They don't. They have no idea. We living in poverty to this very day. To this very day. Every Black or Latino, no matter where you are, you know what poverty is. Keep going.
But thou art rich.
But we're rich. We're rich because we have the oracles of God. We have the law, statutes, and commandments. We have Christ. We have our King who died so we can change, so we can come back to our God and stop doing all the evil that we've been doing. We are rich. Keep going.
And I know the blasphemy of them.
The blasphemy of them, meaning this is blasphemous. Christians love to throw that word around all the time. And they don't know they're blasphemous too. You're blasphemous for teaching that God loves everybody, that you can eat pork, that you can live an alternative lifestyle. But Christ is saying, listen, and I know the blasphemy of them, talking about someone in particular, someone in specific. Keep going.
Which say they are Jews.
Which say they are Jews. That's the people walking around here right now that are saying they are Jews. Keep going.
And are not.
And are not, because Goldberg's not a Jew. Heisenberg, Steinberg, they're not Jews. They're not. Keep reading.
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But are the synagogue of Satan. When it says synagogue of Satan, the chief house of Satan. They are the chief house of Satan, man. That's what we got to understand, man. That's what it means. That's what synagogue means, chief house. They are the chief house of Satan. Meaning this, man, they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's talking about the so-called Jew. That's talking about the oppressor that's walking around calling himself what we are. We're not African American. We're not Puerto Rican and Cuban and Mexican, or, you know what I mean, so-called Native American Indian or First Nation. No, we're the Jews of antiquity. We're the real Jews. There anymore? Listen, they lie about everything too. They lied by telling us, you know what I mean, that we are so-called African American. How can you be a descendant of Leo Scipios Africanus and Americos Vespucci? That's two oppressors. One Italian explorer and the other one was a Roman conqueror. Our history is right here in this Bible. And it's important for us to remember, man. That's why when I brought up yesterday, you know what I mean, for day one, that precept in Deuteronomy, that we got to remember the days of old. We got to remember how things were, so we can understand that we have an identity, we have a culture, and it's important to realize too, Karam, that if you look in our records, in our history, you'll find out who we really are, and you'll find out who our enemies are, because we have enemies. We're walking around here thinking that that fellow Black, Latino, First Nation man and woman is our enemy. No, our enemies are right here in plain sight. The oppressor here in America and all of these other nations that had a hand in it. And that's the problem. We try to love the world, try to love everybody. We got to learn how to love one another, because they plotting on us, man. They plotting on us. And the thing about it too, which is so heavy, man, we think, man, because, you know what I mean? Because we live in this place that, because we are so-called, they call us American, not realizing, man, that we are the slaves of this place, the same of America, the slaves of America. It's no different, during the time, when Mordecai and Esther walked the earth. Because during that time, we were in captivity under the Babylonians and then under the Persians and the Medes, meaning we got put in those captivities for not listening to our God, by not obeying him. And that's why obeying the Lord is important. Like, that's the main reason why. If I could, give me let's go over that again before we go to Esther. Give me Samuel, the 15th chapter. You know what I mean? Like, Bob, give me Samuel 15. You know what I want. You know what I mean about obeying. Because here's the thing, right? Haman was a descendant of Agag. And Agag, you know what I mean? And the Lord, give me in verse 1 or 2, where it says, well, the Lord remembered what Amalek did. Because it's important for us to remember what these heathens have done to us. That's why it's important to go over our history. Because this ain't going to be brought out in the Christian church. You're not going to learn about this in the Muslim mosque. You worried about that fellow brother or sister plotting on you. Esau is plotting on us every day. They creeping through our window. They the ones. They the ones that's watching. They the ones that really cannot stand us, man. Why do you think they pump drugs in our communities? Why do you think they pump, all these different vices? Why do you think, they promote guns and the alternative lifestyles? Like, it's a wicked thing. Go ahead, Karam.
6 people were killed over the weekend.
Yeah.
Including a 14-year-old kid.
Good night.
I was talking to somebody about it, and they said, police got more other things, but they're not locking up any drug dealers. You're not hearing any drug dealers getting locked up. Huh? But people still getting killed. Right?
Listen, man, I'm watching this series on Hulu, man. I'm binge watching Snowfall, about how, how the drugs and stuff got pushed, in California on the West Coast. And it's something I noticed, something that goes over everybody's head. It's the so-called Jew and the United States government that are pumping the drugs in the neighborhood. Right. Even if you look at our communities and neighborhoods, like, I'm not saying they was the greatest, but goddamn, it was a lot different before they start dropping crack, and cocaine in our neighborhoods. It's a whole lot different. Like, what happened to us was strategic, man. Like, that's an excellent example of them plotting on us. We don't own ships. We don't own planes. We don't own airports. Like, a couple years ago, Karam, they found like these 2 ships, right, that came into the harbor here in South Philly that was carrying a bunch of cocaine. I was like, where do you think that cocaine was going? Where do you think it was going? Going into our neighborhoods. We don't do this. And if you out there thinking, if you out there promoting gang violence, promoting the gangs, and promoting drugs and all that wickedness, just know the oppressor is your handler and your dealer. He's the one. When I mean the oppressor, I'm talking about the government. Because what do they do? What did they do? You understand the history. They went over there, and it goes to show you how it ties in with all the 12 tribes. You went down there to Panama, Honduras, Nicaragua with Zebulon and Issachar, you know what I mean, and going into Colombia and Bolivia with Asher, you know what I mean, getting it, you know what I mean, putting them against each other, then bringing it over here and destroying us and putting us against each other while they make out like fat rats. And then they try to save face and promote propaganda by going on national TV and saying, say no to drugs. Just say no. Like, it's an excellent documentary that I would recommend everybody to watch. It's a hard documentary to watch. A little bit of that, Jack. To watch. I appreciate it, Priest. Understand, man, like, this is a documentary called Crack, and it's heavy. They said from 1986 to 1995, 2/3 of crack cocaine users and dealers were white. How many do you think went to jail on a crack or a cocaine felony 3 strikes rule that was Caucasian from 86 to 95? How many oppressors you think went to jail behind that? Like if you had to give it a percentage, 50, 25, 35%. Go ahead, Kareem.
I say for 1%.
What if I told you it was lower than that? None. Not a single white person, not a single oppressor from 86 to 95 went to jail on a coke or crack charge, man. And 2/3 of the users and dealers was white. I'm watching the documentary. I'm like, this is strategic. This was planned. Now, how many of us went to jail for that? Not just in California. How many of us went to jail behind those charges, man? That they brought into our neighborhoods. How many of us? I want to say 90% that was into it. A good 90. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it wasn't 3 strikes. You went down there on your first strike. That was it. You was out. You know what I mean? It wasn't it wasn't collect $200, nigga. It was go to jail. That's the monopoly they run on us. That's the game they run on us. There's no winners. You know how you win, black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman? You win by coming into the ISUPK and changing your life. That's how you win. You play the oppressor's game, you perpetuating the same madness, and they making out on that. Why? Because they know they have to keep us in perpetual sin. That's why it's important for us to obey our God. We obey our God, they ain't gonna be able to do none of this to us. I pray you understand. Let me get that, Ibad, what you holding, Samuel.
Oh God. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15 and verse 2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel.
The Lord said, I remember what Amalek did to Israel, man. Amalek is the so-called Jew. Amalek attacked us like cowards. They didn't come at the strong. They ain't want to take on my thumb straight up. You know what I mean? A Quatazar. They came after your children. They came after grandmom and auntie and, the uncle that can't walk. You know what I mean? The grandpop and the father, you know what I mean? That's older. Cowardice. And that cowardice still exists in the oppressors today. How do we know? The oppressor is the type of coward that will go to a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, at Tops, and kill all the black and Latinos that are elderly. That's why he's the devil that the Bible speaks of. El hombre blanco es el diablo. But they're not going to go unpunished for that. Our God said, I remember what Amalek did. He saw it. He remembers. Keep going.
Oh God. How he laid wait for him in the way.
How he laid, listen, they was plotting on us, man. We was coming up out of Egypt, man. And guess what? And which is so important about it, right? We coming out. We just got out of Egypt. You know what I mean? We going out there into the wilderness, you know what I mean? Going to our land. And guess what? Who out there by the wayside plotting on us, man? The oppressor.
Right.
Amalek in specific. That's the so-called Jew. You know what, Quatazar? I might get canceled. I'm not saying I'm already canceled. I'm in a cult. Y'all niggas looking at me like, what you mean, sir? You already canceled. You in a cult. But I might as well say it. Amalek, you waiting out there by the wayside to attack our elderly and our children. That would make you anti-Semitic. You know, Haman coming up with that plot, you know what I mean, to kill all the Jews, a descendant of Amalek, descendant of Agag, that would make you anti-Semitic. You know, I would think because you run Hollywood and you run the music industry and you promote homosexuality, gun violence, you know what I mean, and all the types of wickedness, that would make you anti-Semitic. But if you ask that one devil that went on the Breakfast Club, Lucian Colin, talking about, oh, I got to feed my family. Well, guess what? You killed mine in the wayside. You laid and waited for my family to kill them. You pumped drugs to my family and my communities. But we have to feel sorry for you. Nope. We are well past apologies. We are well past a salakia. And our God is going to deal with Amalek. I pray you understand that. There any more, Ibad? Drop down to what I want about obeying the Lord. Now, because I'll give it to you for time's sake, right? You know what I mean? Why obedience is important. Saul was king of Israel, and he messed up. He was supposed to go out there and get rid of all of Amalek. All of Amalek. We're supposed to get rid of them. He didn't do it. That's why, by letting Agag live, that's how Haman came about. That's why you still got Amalek now. And which is important to understand, man, it's an important lesson in this on why we have to do what our God says. Like I brought this up yesterday. A lot of brothers may have questions of why can't I eat pork? Why can't I be a whoremonger if you're a sister? Or brother being a whoremonger, sister being a whore. Why can't I use drugs? The big one for a lot of brothers is why can't I smoke? What you mean I can't get a shape up? Now I can go precept upon precept and show you. But more importantly, you got to understand this thing right here. It's because God said so. Because our God said so, that should be the end of that. You know why I don't get lineups? Because God said not to. You know why I'm not a whoremonger? Because God said not to. That's why it's important to come in here and change, man. And change. You got what I asked for, Ibad? Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 Samuel 15 and verse 9.
Go ahead.
But Saul and the people spared Agag.
Spared Agag. Spared him. Big mistake. Was not supposed to do that. Keep going.
And the best of the sheep.
Listen, our God told Samuel, tell Saul, go kill the animals too. Go kill the ox. Go kill the sheep. I want everything going. Saul should have said, kind out of one kind. Keep going.
And of the oxen, and of the fatling, and the lamb, and all that was good.
Keep going.
And would not utterly destroy them.
It would not utterly destroy them. What she was supposed to do, he was supposed to utterly destroy them. But because of that, he ended up trying to cop a plea, saying, no, I tried to keep all the best. I tried to keep the best so we could sacrifice it unto the Lord. No, that's not what our God wanted. And we're about to go into it. This is what our God requires of all Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. Let me skip you down. Drop down to verse 22.
Okay. Verse 22. And Samuel said, have the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings? As the Lord have great delight in burnt offerings.
Now, we don't do burnt offerings anymore. We don't do animal sacrifices anymore because Christ, what Christ dying for us, that did away with that. But here's the thing. What Samuel is saying is powerful because he's like, does the Lord delight in burnt offerings? You shouldn't even have to do it. It shouldn't be. And the thing is, it was designed to hurt your pockets. Like if you mess up, Matazawad, not saying you, but you mess up and you like, oh man, I gotta go get the best of my lamb, the best of my goat, the best of my ox, your best one. The Lord wanted that. But we started to take advantage. Like, you know what? I'm about to go up and sleep with I'm about to go sleep with Karam's rib. Let me get that lamb ready now. Oh man, God said do this, but I got my own plans. Let me go get my ox right now. It was designed to hurt you. It was designed to hurt your pockets. But like niggas, like Israel, are taking advantage. And Samuel is saying, did the Lord have great delight in burnt offerings? No, he doesn't. God would rather this. Read.
Oh God. And sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord.
As in what?
As in obeying the voice of the Lord.
As in obeying the voice of the Lord. Listen, man. The Lord would rather us to obey.
Right.
He would rather us to obey him, man. That's what he would rather want. And you should want that. You should strive for that. That's why it's important, man. When you come in here, shed yourself of the world. Right. Let that old man die. Don't try to cling on to that old man or that old woman. That bastard is gone. That bastard is gone and long to be forgotten. That's why it's important to obey the Most High. Because if you mess up now, Lord gonna deal with you.
Right.
Don't be like, don't be that type of brother. Don't be that type of sister thinking, oh, I can get away. No, you're not. Our God sees everything. That's why it is better to obey. Because you know what? If you obey, you won't have to worry about, the consequences, of those actions. Because guess what? What happens when you sleep with a whore? 9 times out of 10. Ooh-wee. Go ahead, Nathan. You catch something. And you catch something today. I tell you, it's a lot. Karam, when you was coming up, you had to get a penicillin shot for gonorrhea. Not no more. Gonorrhea that involved. Gonorrhea is super gonorrhea now, but times are wide. Sleep with that whore if you want to. Be a homosexual if you want to. Good night. You might catch the monkeypox. This one devil had his nose fall off and his face start to decay. Understand this. I don't have to see that. I don't need that visual to know that homosexuality is wrong. I don't need that visual of a man's fucking nose falling off. I thought HIV and AIDS was enough, your blood being upon you. Now our God is saying, okay, HIV and AIDS, let me ramp it up a little bit. Let me send you the monkeypox. I'm going to make your nose fall off. God damn, you're alive and your face is decaying. I don't, slack you know what I mean? Good off that. You know what I mean? You should go down there and get a penicillin shot all you want. It ain't going to work, Karam. Every time you go to the bathroom, it's going to be like a flamethrower. Trying to tell you, man, it's better to obey the Lord, man. It's better to obey the Most High. And that's important to understand because if you don't, you'll suffer. I'll give you another example that was just in the the news, right? Yeah, everybody talking about Chris Rock clapped back at Will Smith, right? And you think about, I thought about that. I said, Christ was right, man, when he said, and it's so important that when your rib, when your Eve, not to deviate, I want to bring it up. When your Eve sleep with somebody else, you gotta leave her alone, man. Right. You gotta shake the dust and be like, all right, you got it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, you're gonna end up like Will Smith, being emasculated every day. That's a rough one, man. And then you getting emasculated every day in that house, being made fun of. And then what do? You go beat up Pookie. You go beat up Pookie from New Jack City. I'm stuck on that shit quite design. Like, God damn, man. Like, it's better to obey the Most High. It is better to obey the Most High because if you don't, you're going to embarrass yourself on national television, being emasculated by your son's friend's wife. It ain't your wife no more. She August's wife. But August is her son's friend. So you being emasculated by your son's friend wife. It's better to obey the Most High. I think I'd rather obey the Lord. It's a lot. Keep reading. Like, but.
And to hearken than the fat of rams.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 23.
No, keep as in obeying. Read after that.
Okay. As in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice.
Read that line again.
Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice.
To obey is better than sacrifice. I'm trying to tell you, the Lord's trying to spare you, you know what I mean, of what is to come. You know who else found that out? Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? When the Lord, which is so heavy, you know what I mean, when Eve and Adam, you know what I mean, messed up and went after to go follow after the other nations. You know what I mean? Now we know the knowledge of good and evil. Before we just knew good. To put it in simpler terms, we have children, right? You tell your son, Mathum, don't touch the stove. The stove is hot. Right. He look at you like, nigga, what he know? Right. What do you know? How you know the stove hot? Boom. Stove is hot. Now you know. But the thing is, see? About to go home and touch the stove tonight. It's a lie. Don't touch the stove, little brother. Little brother, do not touch the stove. Don't do that. I'm not telling you to do that. But you get the gist. You get the point. Don't be that brother or sister that has to find out the hard way. You don't want to find out by experience, because experience is going to hurt you. It's better to just obey.
Right.
It's better to just do what God said and avoid all that. And that's why we here. You can drop that iBot. Now, get me in the additions to Esther, somebody in the Apocrypha. Get me in the additions of Esther. Give me Esther 12. Give me Esther chapter 12.
Like you said, the additions to Esther.
This additions to Esther. Give me 13. I'm gonna skip y'all around.
It's not good. Just go to 7 right there.
Oh, in the Apocrypha, select in the Apocrypha. You know, in the Apocrypha, I might as well tell you. Okay, as you know, we have Esther, the book of Esther in the Bible. There are additions to Esther in the Apocrypha. And to give you the backdrop on why that is, right? This Apocrypha was in the KJV 1611. You know what I mean? The Catholic Church and the oppressors took this out. Took it out. Took the Apocrypha out. Why? Because they're the devil that the Bible speaks of. They try to say it's not biblical canon. Yes, it is. Because when the Bible was translated, when King James had those scholars translated, the Apocrypha was in the KJV 1611. Now, if you don't, you can still get a 1611 KJV, or you can just get a regular KJV and then get a King James version Apocrypha. Yeah, let me get in the additions of Esther. Let me get that. Let me get that. Let me get Esther chapter 10 first. Then I'm going to skip you all around. Give me Esther 10. Yeah, Esther 10 and verse 1.
Khan is the book of Esther, chapter 10, verse 1. Then
Mordecai.
Then Mordecai said, God hath done these things. For I remember a dream which I saw concerning these matters, and nothing thereof hath failed.
Read.
Verse 6. A little fountain became a river, and there was light, and the sun, and much water. This river is Esther, whom the king married and made queen. Verse 7. And the two dragons are I and a man.
Now, Mordecai is having a dream, having a vision. You know what I mean? The light and the sun, much like the water, is Esther, which married, because Esther was queen and Ahasuerus was king. You know what I mean? And keep reading.
Verse 8. And the nations were those that were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews.
And the nations were what?
Assembled to destroy the name of the Jews.
Does that sound familiar? These nations, right, were there. And they were assembled to destroy the name of the Jews. The name of the Jews. Now, if I could, Nathaniel, give me, we're going to come right back. Oh, yeah, Con, no sweat. Just to break this down for you, man, was heavy, right? These other nations, you know what I mean, are getting ready to destroy y'all people. Alawat Panya. Barak. How about Shim Yao Shah Rakatha?
Clap it up. Right, you know, it's the last night of Purim, right? Rocking it out. I'm sure you were dealing with it. Did you want to continue, or you want me to rock it out?
Oh, you rock us.
All right.
I was in Esther. I started in the additions to Esther. So
okay, solid.
After the dream, sir.
Move this up. I'll take your questions online, especially if they're about the book of Esther. And also tonight, I would like you to understand and to make sure you understand how the book of Esther applies to what is happening to you today. All right. We'll go into a few news stories to prove that as well. All right. Where are we at, brothers? Are we set up with the whole thing, Yediah? Are we set up with that TikTok? We down? Okay, no, so you don't do it on mine.
You could go live.
I don't know how.
Up your personal account if you wanted to, sir.
Let me see.
I can set it right there.
Okay, let me work it out for you. 1 second. Let me get some questions in the room while I'm waiting or online, all right?
Sir. You have one question online, sir. I believe you. One brother said, can I get a general breakdown of 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 2 and 1? I know when it says the husband on wife, meaning the truth. I just want some precepts on it. Why?
No sweat. Give me let he that hath wives be as he that has none.
Sir.
Give me that. Let me hook this up for 1 second, all right? Mm, 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 mm.
Oh, you better get this call. Come on. You want Sean or did you want the coffee?
I'll take the coffee and the strong if it's all right. Well, since it's already here, I'll take this up. It's already up here, all right? Okay, what do I need to do for you now for this?
Oh,
I need to just hand you the phone?
you on your personal TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on it right now.
Okay, I got it first.
Okay, solid. All right, let me get the question for the brother.
This question was 1 Timothy chapter 1. Yeah, 1 Timothy 3 and verse 2 and 1.
Someone read it for the brother, please.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 3, verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior.
So the first thing you need, right, this is one of the precepts that the Catholic Church used to forbid their priests to marry women. This is what they would pull. They pulled this back in the 1700s. Around there is when the Catholic Church began to forbid their men to marry women. And of course, that caused a flood of alternative lifestyle men to join the Catholic Church and to join the Catholic priesthood. If you ever wondered why Catholic priests do not have wives, it's because of the misunderstanding of this precept. Does everyone understand? All right. First of all, what would that mean? A bishop must be the husband of what?
One wife.
How many wives?
One wife.
0 wives?
One wife.
2 wives?
One.
0 wives. A bishop. When you look up the word bishop in your Zondervan Bible Dictionary means master. Master. Keep reading.
Give it to hospitality.
Skip down to the deacon. It's right around here. For time's sake, it's right around here, deacon. It says the deacon must be the husband of one wife as well, right? Which is not 0, which is not 2. Do you have it up? Go ahead.
Verse 12. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well.
Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife. The disciples of Christ, the prophets of God, are sent out in 2s. Moses and Aaron, Christ and Peter. Christ sent the disciples out each set into sets of 2s when they went out to go teach. Because this truth started off with a master and a servant. The word deacon means servant. And so all the schools are grouped up, started by 2 men, a master and a deacon, a master and his servant, and then they go and build and grow other men. Everyone understands. So this represents everyone in the work, everyone in the priesthood under Christ, which is why the Catholics don't allow their priests to have any husbands at all. So if you believe that this means a husband must be the husband of one wife, then who could not be in the truth? Who could not be a priest? Let the young brothers answer. I know you know. If you must be the husband of one wife, who in the Bible could not be a priest or in the work of the Lord? Who couldn't be a deacon? Who could not be a bishop? Your brother right here, up front. Christ. Jesus Christ himself could not be a bishop in his schools. Who can tell me why? He had 0 wives, not 1, not 0. He had 0 wives, which would mean Christ was not the husband of one wife. The scripture just said he must be the husband of one wife. Did I read it incorrectly? That is what it says, right? Who else couldn't be a bishop in schools that he was over? Paul. Paul could not be a bishop in his school because Paul was the husband of 0 wives. He said that. Christ also said that he had no woman, that he focused on the work of the Most High. Paul said the exact same thing. So that's what you need first. That Christ did not have a wife. Paul did not have a wife, which would prohibit them from being bishops and deacons in their own schools. So knowing that, maybe it means something else, right? Maybe it doesn't mean that Christ could not teach in his school, that Paul could not teach in his school. This is what it actually means. Give me the one I want in 1 Corinthians, I believe. That he that hath wives. Give me that one. Then give me where the Most High said that we were his wife, that he was married to us. That's a few places. That's in Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, and a few other places. All right. This is the precept for the brother. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short.
The time is what?
The time is short.
The time is what?
The time is short.
We're here tonight celebrating the tradition of Purim, a terrible time in our people's lives that was the beginning of a glorious, glorious event. But this night of Purim, brother, it started off terrible. It started off as a national holocaust. We were all about to die, all of us, all about to die simply because of the arrogance and the violence of a powerful man, a man who had the ear of the king, a man in government, a man who had power that the poor did not have. And because he had the king's ear, because he had power that we did not have, his word alone was going to have all of us killed. And so many of us believe that that's something that is a long time ago, something that couldn't happen today. It has happened many times. Many times. And if not for the grace of God, it would happen completely to us. I'll show you that tonight. So many things that are happening in your life tonight is some powerful man, some rich man who has the power over your water, the power over where you live, the power over your health care. And he is setting plans in action every day to kill you. What's happening in Flint, Michigan, brother, that is truly anti-Semitic. That's Flint, Michigan. What's happening in Chicago is anti-Semitic. Our Jewish friends believe that the Purim was the first instance of anti-Semitism in the Bible. Am I right? Can I go there or not? I can't say anti. Can I say some other word? Racism?
Oppression.
Oppression is a good word. Let's say oppression, right? Can I say my Jewish friends believe that this is the first case of oppression in the Bible. And they believe this is the same oppression that took place in Germany. Is that all right? But here's something that most people won't ever care about, because this act of violence is happening to a people who are poor and who suffer. The act of racist aggression that happened in the book of Esther and Purim is happening every day to the so-called North American Indian, to the so-called Hispanics, to the so-called Negroes and West Indians, and no one cares about it at all. It is high time. Time is close. We don't have a lot of time for you to be wrapped up in your family, for you to devote yourself to your family. We don't have time for that. They're trying to kill all of us, Ak. What would happen if Esther would have only cared about her life and her family? Her husband was the king, and she was living so rich and so powerful and had all of her needs met. What if she only cared about herself? So many Christians believe that life is simply about taking care of you and your family, taking care of your wife and your kids. What if Esther thought that? Esther struggled with that in the beginning, did she not? She struggled. And then Mordecai came to her and said, listen, we need you. Your people need you. And he made Esther get her mind off of her personal life and get her mind on her nation. What is your Christian church doing for you? The Christian church makes you lose focus on your nation and focus on your family. Focus on your kids. Focus on getting out of the ghetto. Imagine that. Imagine the entire goal of a people being to leave their people. That's your entire goal. That's your dream. From what age do you start to dream to make it out of the hood, to make it away from black people, to get a white girlfriend? What age does that dream start, Yediah? I want to say 13. She's 9 years old. You just want to leave these black people. You want to leave these Mexicans. You want to get away from them. What if Esther thought like that? We'd all be dead. The Lord said it is high time to awake out of sleep. Keep going.
Sir. That they have wives, be as though they had none.
Read it again.
Sir.
They're both they.
Sir. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives.
It remaineth that both they that hath what?
Wives.
Hath what?
Wives.
Hath a wife.
Wives.
Hath wives. Keep going.
Be as though they had none.
They'll be as though they had none. This is what that scripture in the New Testament is talking about. You have to be married to this job. Married to it. Because if you're not, you'll care about your wife and your kids, and our nation will die. We'll all die because you'll be home taking care of your family, making sure your family is good, making sure your bills are paid. Then who protects us? You will have to do what Esther did. You'll have to leave out of your home and come and care about the needs of your people, because they're trying to kill us, Ak. They're trying to kill us. Who knows what cancer? What's that? The text I sent you today, Yediah? Cancer. I think it's called Cancer Alley. Look that up. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Cancer Alley. No one has heard of it. No one gives a damn about it. It's commonly called Cancer Alley to people in government. Read about it, please.
Cancer Alley. Cancer Alley is the regional nickname given to an 85-mile stretch of land along the Mississippi River between Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
There's an 85-mile strip of land between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and it's commonly known. Its nickname is Cancer Alley. Keep going.
Sir. And the river of portions of Louisiana, which contains over 200 petrochemical plants and refineries.
In that one area, there are 200 petrochemical plants, meaning plants that use gasoline for fuel. And they create with chemicals and gasoline, they make fuel. It's 200 of them in that one area, and it's commonly called Cancer Alley. Give me the population of, well, I'm fine, Warrior. What percentage of Cancer Alley is black? You can just Google that. Anyone can do that. I don't have much time. What percentage of Cancer Alley is black?
Black.
Well, you better look again. It's right above you. It's 93% black. 93. Of course, I've already looked it up. It's 93% black. 93. Cancer Alley. That is what happened in the book of Esther. That's a Holocaust. No, except for this Holocaust, no one cares about the way they care about the way they care about the chemical spill in Ohio. That put, that gave white people in Ohio. Can I say white people? I guess not. That put oppressors in Ohio in an inconvenient state. But there's a place called Cancer Alley, brother, right outside of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, where everyone knows that from living there, you're going to catch cancer. That your children are going to die. Everyone understands. Oh, and there's more. Anything else? You die? Anything on the questions?
One brother had one of the question breakdown
Mhm.
on the food prayers.
Go ahead. He wants to break down on our traditional food prayer. What is it? What is it again? I don't have my phone to do the SB Espanol tonight. I gotta wait. I'll do my do the SB Espanol later. All right, when I can get the phone back. More than likely, they'll cut us off of TikTok anyway. I'll do it then. Now. Anything else? Questions?
Go
Go ahead. All right, let me go into the story. Where were you ending at? Wait, first give me the clips I gave you. Give me the so-called North American Indians. There was another important story to this week that happened with Ja Morant. He's a basketball player. Is everyone familiar with him? He's a very famous basketball player, right? And I will explain to you tonight how the Ja Morant story directly ties into Purim. It directly ties into Purim, and Lord allow, with enough time, I will explain it to you tonight. Okay? Give me what you have, Yediah.
You sent me a story of the Gadites. You sent me a couple on TikTok. One was on the one brother crying about being in the church and dealing with men and women.
Give me the one about the Gadites that were lynched. That's some very, hidden history about the so-called North American Indians who were the Issacharites, the tribe of Issachar, La Raza, the Lord's chosen people. There is so much hidden history about the amount of violence that our people went through here, the kind of violence we went through during the time of Purim that most people don't know about, but I'll explain it to you and also explain how it could happen again. I'll give you the thing I asked for. You have it? It's the 5,500 lynchings. See me one more time, please. And we can't go on TikTok through another phone, right? Because I do have all this in my phone, but if I can't do it, I can't do it. Through what?
I don't believe you sent me that one, sir.
Ooh, okay, you better let's finish the Purim. No, leave it there. Let's finish the Purim story then. All right. Go ahead.
You can describe it, sir. I can look for it, sir.
500 lynchings of 500 so-called Mexicans in the 1800s. It was on one town. All of the Mexicans from one town. The story is so similar to Purim. An entire Mexican village from one border town in Mexico. All right, if you can get that story, that would help. I can continue with this Purim thing until we find it. All right.
I think I might have.
Go ahead.
Lynch mob kills Latinos across the West. Fight to remember these atrocities just started.
Keep going.
Arlinda Valencia was at a funeral when her uncle told her a bewildering family secret. An Anglo lynch mob had killed her great-grandfather. Mm-hmm. A mixture of grief and shock overwhelmed me. She said, the first I've heard of this, Valencia 66. The more she looked into it, the more stunned at how many Mexicans were lynched in this country.
This is something no one ever discusses. And of course, the tribe of Judah doesn't care about it, doesn't bring it up, doesn't march over it, doesn't fight for it. And because of that, that's why there's no brotherhood between Latinos and so-called black people. The tribe of Judah is going to have to care about what happened to the Latinos, man. You're going to have to be just as angry about the Latinos that were lynched as you are about the tribe of Judah, so-called black people that were lynched. And if not, how will they ever know that you are their mi gente, that they are your people? How will they ever know that we're brother and sister if you don't cry when they cry? If you're not in pain when they're in pain? Well, Latinos, brother, were lynched just as much as so-called black people were. And no one cares about it. No one even talks about it. I want the specific one, Yediah, about a whole town. And they just killed every man, woman, and child in the town. If you have that, that's the one I need. That's it.
Ms. Valencia and other descendants of living lynching victims are now casting attention on one of the grimmest campaigns of racial terror in the American West. The lynching of thousands of men, women, and children of Mexican descent from mid-19th century until well into the 20th century.
From the thousands of them. During the time of lynching, about 3,000 so-called black people were killed in the South. There have been thousands of Latinos lynched. Thousands. I believe I did send you a video about lynching. Some Tennessee congressman that wants to, I need that. Okay, can you give me the story that I'm looking for? Please, go ahead. The what?
In 1880, a mob in Collin County, North Texas, accused Refugio Ramirez, his wife, and their teenage daughter, Maria Inez, of bewitching their neighbors. The three of them were burned to death, according to a Laura Edwards historian at Duke University.
Mm-hmm.
In another episode in 1882, a man of Mexican descent identified as an Augustin Aguirre filed a complaint against an Anglo man who shot at his dog. In retaliation, Anglo tracked Mr. Aguirre down and fatally shot him.
So this family, they're witches. This other one, he's a criminal. He shot his dog. Go ahead.
But in January 28, 1918, a group of Anglo cattlemen, Texas Rangers, and United States Army cavalry soldiers descended on the villages as families slept. They seized 15 men and boys, the youngest of whom was 16, marched them to a bluff overlooking the river, and fatally shot them at close range.
Keep going.
After burning Portervere to the ground, the Rangers and ranchmen claimed without offering proof that the villagers had been thieves.
Had been what?
Had been
what?
Had been
They
thieves.
went and burned down the entire thing. You'll read farther down. They killed 500 so-called Mexicans. 500 men, women, and children from the tribe of Yashikar because they were thieves. They were what? Criminals. They were criminals. And they killed 500 of them with no proof, with no trial, with no laws being cited. But they were criminals. And because of the reputation of the so-called Latinos, because of what people thought of them, this was accepted. No one fought it. No one protested. No one went to war. No one. Why? Because at that time, everyone believed that the North American Indians were savages and that the Mexicans were thieves. So when they were killed, there was no protest because their reputation among our oppressor was that these were criminals. And because of that, sometimes you had to hurt them. Sometimes if you didn't shoot them, they of course would commit crime and they would shoot you. And this behavior was accepted all the way into the 20th century. Does everyone understand? Now, how does this relate to Ja Morant? I'll give it to you for time's sake. Put Ja Morant, can I get the video of Ja Morant of what he did and where he did it at? You have that? If I have questions, just let me know about that. All right. And then also hold on deck the Tennessee senator that wants to bring back lynching. Questions in the room? Am I missing any? Questions on TikTok or online? Am I missing any?
You do have one online, sir.
Let's hear it.
Saki Alwan, what do you do if your boy's mother is taking you to court for being in the UPK?
You go to war. That's what you do. You become a guerrero, a warrior de Dios. You become a warrior for God. Go into court and prove that the Israelite School of UPK is the perfect place to raise up a child. That's what you do. Many brothers have been through this. You know why? For the same reason that we celebrate Purim. What does your baby mother want that judge to believe? Huh? Your child's mother takes you to court for being in the Israelite school of UPK. Now, I want you to understand this and relate it to Purim. What does America have in the Constitution? Freedom of religion. Freedom of religion. Let's say you worship a cow's tongue as your God. You believe that lingua was a god. Are you allowed to worship a cow's tongue in America as your God? Raise your hand if you have the answer. In America, can you worship a cow's tongue as your God? You don't know? Up front. Yeah, can you worship a head of lettuce? Can you? That's legal here. That's absolutely legal here. Can you say that you are God and everyone should bow down to you because you are God? Can you have a religion in America where you believe you are God? Can you? Yeah. Can a court take your child away from you based on your religion in America? Anybody? I see some blank faces. You know why your faces are blank? Because the propaganda is so thick about being One West and being in the Israelite school of UPK under commanding General Yohana. Even some of us are not sure if we have a legal right to be in the UPK. You're not quite sure about it because your baby's mother says it as if it's a crime, does she not? Your child's mother will say, I'm going to tell people that you're in the UPK. When you go to your job, you tuck your shield in your shirt. You don't want anybody to see it. In America, is it illegal to rock a shield of David? Is there some court that can say, well, you're wearing a shield of David, you're not supposed to do that? Is there some court that can say it's wrong? No. Being in the Israelite school of UPK is completely lawful and legal. And yet, the fear in your heart when your wife tells you or your ex-wife tells you she's going to take you to court and tell the judge that you are in a hate group, even you don't know if what you're doing is legal. You know why, brother? Because that is the demon that was going to kill all of us during the time of Esther. That feeling that we're going to die, not because of what we've done, not because of a crime we've committed, not because of some law we've broken. We're going to die because of who we believe we are. And that's why your child's mother threatens you with taking your child from you because you're in the Israelite school of UPK. Let me blow your mind some more. You ever heard of a such thing as a Ku Klux Klan? Have you ever heard of a such thing as the Nazis, the American Nazi Party? Right. Have you ever, do Ku Klux Klan members have children? Do they have sex and procreate? Right. Do Ku Klux Klan members lose their children because they're in the Ku Klux Klan? Brother, they're down south. They got thousands of children. The children are at the rallies in little tiny Ku Klux Klan outfits. Put that on the screen before we move on. Show me a little baby in a little baby Ku Klux Klan uniform. If the Ku Klux Klan can have children, what your baby's mother is a female dog. She is a female dog that believes that the lies that people spread about the UPK will help her in court, even though it is not illegal to be in the UPK. We're doing nothing illegal at all in here. Nothing. Nothing that we say is illegal. What else does America have? The freedom of speech. In America, you can say, look at these little kids here. Are these parents going to lose their children? Show me one in color. Just so you can let everybody know that this happens today. And they dress up like this today. If the Ku Klux Klan can have their kids, why isn't anyone taking their children from them? They're in an organization that has a history of racial violence. What history does the UPK have of violence? None. We don't have one arrest since 1969 of violence. Not one. What acts of domestic terrorism have we ever been accused of? Give me one. Ask that female dog that you had a baby with about the occasion of domestic terrorism that we have ever been accused of, ever. And the FBI watches us the way you watch a big tail on what's the website y'all go and look at tails? You die. OnlyFans, Instagram. The FBI watching us like we're Instagram. We're accused of nothing. No crimes, nothing. Why? Because being One West is not illegal, brother. Let me tell you something else. Being a hardcore brother is not illegal. A lot of you are a bunch of vaginas. You think just simply being rough is illegal, don't you? That's how much of a vagina you are. You think that simply being masculine is enough to get your child taken from you. What do you got there, you die? What's this here? What's that there? Explain that to the people.
That is a little oppressive child approaching. You know what I mean? A Judite officer.
Police officer.
Police officer. Dressed in uniform. Being part of the Ku Klux Klan.
Is that parent going to lose their child? No, because it is not illegal to be in the Ku Klux Klan. Your baby's mother is an ignorant female dog, and she is a dumpster for semen. She is where she is. That's too much, you die. Did I cross the line? Just tell me when to go back over the line. I'm going back over it. You just let me know where the line is. I'm gonna walk up to it, but I'm not gonna go over. Your child's mother is a very promiscuous woman. She's a lady of the evening. That's what your child's mother is. A lady of the evening. She's a streetwalker. She's a promiscuous woman. And she's ignorant because she doesn't even know that what we're doing is legal. She doesn't know it. It's legal to be in the Ku Klux Klan and to raise children in it. They wouldn't sew the little uniform for the little oppressor, sew the little hat for it. And then they walk up to the cops and do it on camera. Let me explain to you, this is what you have to do up. You go into court and you run down our record. That's what you do. You go into court and you tell her who we are, explain everything, explain why we say that our oppressor is the devil, explain our belief system, explain what we do, run it down. And if you need a professional expert, I'd be glad to come down to your city and go to court. I feel so comfortable in court, it's like I'm at home. I've been there so much. I go into court, it's like I'm completely comfortable there. Ask the brothers who've been there, Ty Ward and General Mayock. I'll walk into court out and battle with a lawyer, and it's really where I feel at home. I'm really more at home in court than I am not in court. That's confession. I'd really rather be in court. I'd rather be there in front of someone who is thinking and understanding and knowledgeable, and I would rather battle a judge and a lawyer than battle some of the ignorant female dogs that I have to battle doing my job. I'd rather battle a lawyer, a district attorney. That's better for me. You call me down there, Rock, I'll explain the whole thing to them. Everybody understands. You're dying.
You brought out our record. What about the record of the Christian church, Catholic church, and the Senate?
You die. Give him a hand because what you're saying is so right. When your wife brings up you being in the Israelite school of UPK, you bring up that your wife goes to a Christian church. Now, what's their record on child molestation? What's their record on crime? What's their record on female abuse? What's their record on murder? What's their record on drug dealing? I welcome the scales. I'd welcome to compare what Commanding General Yohana has done to what your preacher has done. Right. If you want to put the UPK on trial, please come on with it because I will put the Christian church on trial and be happy to do it any day, any time. Well, if your baby's mother does that, I'll welcome it. Walk in there in your headpiece out. Walk in there not as a drug dealer, not as a preacher, not as some child molester. Walk in there and represent the truth out, and then lay your record before the court. And we'll see what they say. I've been through it so many times. I know what they're going to say. A person's religion is not relevant in child support hearings or in child care hearings. A person's religion is not relevant. A court has to hear it just in case you say something like, yeah, we stab the children in the head every Tuesday. We beat the children, which we can't say, damn it. Just let me know. Where's the line? I'll walk up to it. Just in case someone is abusing children, a judge has to hear it because a judge is listening to hear if your religion believes in child abuse. But once you lay the record out in front of the judge, and all your ex-wife is going to say is, they hate oppressors. They don't like oppressors. That's her evidence. They don't like oppressors. They say oppressors because your ex-wife is so ignorant. She is uneducated. You married her simply because she had sex with you before Thursday, and this other one wanted you to wait till Thursday. This one gave it up on Tuesday. Your ex-wife doesn't know. Would you please tell your ex-wife the only reason you had sex with her is because she's easy? Tell her. Tell her, because she doesn't know her. She thinks she's pretty. Your ex-wife thinks she's pretty. She thinks she's attractive. She is not attractive. She's unattractive. But she is easier than the other girls who you could have had sex with. And that's why you had a baby with her. And you should tell her. When she takes you to court, you should show her the other side. Once again, if you don't know how, I do know how. I only have that side. That's the only side I have. You bring me down to your city. I'll go into court with you, do the whole thing with you. I'll ask for Commanding General Yohana for permission, and that'll be that. Next. Morale.
Like I said, if I could, before you pass on,
Go ahead.
if I could, sir, just as a witness,
Mhm.
using some of your side.
Most high Christ.
I was standing there in court with my ex-wife and her lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Me by myself with a shield on.
Mm-hmm.
The judge said, "Yeah, but that's not relevant here."
Yeah, that's what. Give Morale a hand. He's been through it. And you see how ignorant they are? Like, they think because they're Christian, they think it's illegal not to be Christian. Do you know, I've heard women go into court and say, Your Honor, he doesn't celebrate Christmas. That happens. That is not an exaggeration. And here's the irony of the whole thing. They're talking to a judge that is Jewish. The judge doesn't celebrate Christmas. But the woman stands up and says, Your Honor, he doesn't want my son to celebrate Christmas. He doesn't want my son to celebrate not Halloween. And the judge is sitting there. The judge doesn't celebrate Christmas or Halloween. But your wife is such a dumpster for DNA. Is that good, Udiah?
That's good.
But it's still walking right there. It's too close. Pull it back.
You want a line?
Dumpster is the problem?
No.
DNA is the problem. Your wife is a dumpster for human fluid. She is where human fluid goes to dissipate. Right? That's what she is. Your problem is, of course, you should have never, what can I say? The brother should have never been with her. He should have never chose her. Right? You should wait. Your diet said you should have waited until Thursday, huh? You could have got a pretty girl. Oh, geez. Okay. But even your ex-wife taking you to court for being in the UPK ties directly into Purim. Directly into it. Let me show you one more. Show me Ja Moran. Your ex-wife wants the judge to have prejudice against your religious belief. She wants him to form an opinion of you being an Israelite in the UPK that supersedes the law. Because in the law, there is no law that prohibits you from being in the UPK, from following the teachings of Commanding General Yohana. But your ex-wife is hoping that the prejudice that a judge might have might help her in court. She depends on that prejudice. This is what I'm trying to teach you tonight. That prejudice is why we almost died in the book of Esther. That prejudice is where Purim came from. Because the people around us that believe that the Jews are dangerous, the Jews are evil, the Jews are a people that don't want to mix with the other races, with the other people. That prejudice almost got us killed when it came out of the mouth of a man in power in government. We almost died. But there was one sister that chose to leave her life of pleasure, to leave her life of comfort, and to care about her people up. She chose to do it. Let's go into John Moran. Clap it up right now for John Moran. Now, once again, someone give me the popular, this John Moran story is coming out the walls. I can't drive from here to there and run my great many errands I have to run for the UPK without hearing about John Moran and all of the evil of John Moran. Give me the popular belief about John Moran. Does anyone know, or you want me to give it to you? John Moran is a basketball player. He recently got, I believe, the Nike deal that Kyrie Irving lost. Kyrie Irving had a Nike deal, but Kyrie Irving had the nerve to put a book on his website that said that the title of the book was Hebrews to Negroes. He just shared that link. That's it, which is not a crime, which is nothing, which is in essence being against reading. And that's a rough deal because Black people in America at one time were not allowed to read. At one time, we were forbidden to read. Our eyes were burned out of our heads if we read. In 2022, a man lost a contract, was suspended from his job for recommending a book. Not for saying everything in this book is true. Not for saying follow this book like it's the Bible. He didn't say that. He just said, he just recommended the book to read. You could read any book and not like the book. If I told you, go watch the movie Gone from the Wind, would you lose your job for that? Because some people might watch Gone with the Wind and hate it. Some people might like it. But there's nothing wrong with watching Gone with the Wind. And that's an old movie that denigrates Black people in that movie. But no one says, don't watch Gone with the Wind. No one ever says, don't watch the countless Tarzan movies that are on TV and in theaters every day, all the time. Who knows what a Tarzan movie is? You die, break it down for them.
Tarzan movie is about that oppressor that's out there in the jungle with Jane and the little.
Tarzan was a movie from the 30s.
Calm, the little Black boy.
Where Tarzan was an oppressor who somehow got lost in the jungles of Africa. He grew up raised by monkeys in Africa. He became the best of all the monkeys. He beat every monkey up. And he was better than every African who lives with the monkeys every day, all the time. Tarzan beat all the Africans and he beat all the monkeys. That's a Tarzan movie. Now, what else is a Tarzan movie? Oh, you can keep going. Can I give you one, please? Listen, oppressors, the male oppressor is a better woman than other women. They're better at being women. This week, Hershey came out with a Hershey bar. Give me who Hershey picked for its new chocolate bar, Hershey. Hershey picked a new chocolate bar, and they picked the greatest woman in the world to represent their new Hershey bar. Spoiler alert, it's a man. Everyone understands. It's a man. Everything is a Tarzan movie. Avatar. No one would fire you for going to see Avatar. What's Avatar? An oppressor. Raise your hand, have you seen Avatar? Avatar is about an oppressor who goes to an alien planet. He is not an alien. He puts on an alien suit, alien skin, an alien avatar. And what does he become? Who knows? The best alien. He whoops the ass of all the aliens. he defeats all the aliens. He went and he rides that animal and defeats the animal that no other alien could defeat. And he is not even an alien. Avatar is a Tarzan movie. It's an oppressor that walks into a black or Hispanic or alien world and is just the best, even though he just got there last week. What else is it? What else is a Tarzan movie? Breaking Bad. Raise your hand if you've ever seen Breaking Bad. Not many people have seen Breaking Bad. A lot of Edomites like Breaking Bad. Right? Breaking Bad is about a white man who's a oppressor, who's a science teacher, who becomes a drug dealer among the Mexicans. You know what he becomes? The best Mexican drug dealer. The best. He defeats them all, kills them all. He unalives all of the Mexican drug dealers. He unalives the hell out of them. He is an oppressor from Arizona who went to college and is a scientist. But when he becomes a drug dealer, he is the best drug dealer in Mexico. No one ever says you can't watch Breaking Bad. You can't watch Avatar. Rocky is an amazing, it's a Tarzan movie. Rocky is some goofball who can't read or talk or box. He goes and he fights this Judite who is the perfect boxer, the best boxer. He beats him, defeats him. Then he beats Mr. T, who's just a monster at that time. He defeats him, and then a Russian kills the black man who's the best boxer. Damn. A Russian unalives the black man. Rocky goes in and beats the Russian, beats him. No one complains that these movies denigrate black people. They put us down. Like we're belittled, sister.
Don't they take the Rocky movie and put it into Creed? Like Rocky then trains a black man to do that?
Somehow that's Creed's son or Creed's stepson or something. And now, I don't know. I can't deal with it. Everybody.
It's like he raised the black man.
Rocky was even a better father than Creed, wasn't he? Rocky went and raised Creed's son better than Creed. And this hurts our feelings. This emasculates us and hurts us. No one cares. Why? Because you can watch these movies, you can like them or not like them. Kyrie Irving shared the link to a book that said Hebrews to Negroes, and he lost his job over that and lost his contract. Well, they gave his contract to Job. What do you got here? Here is the new Hershey advertisement. Hershey. That's a transgender woman, I guess. He, she, transgender woman. All right. Once again, guess what, sisters? Women, white men are going to come and take all of your jobs. Oppressors are going to come, Yediah, and take all of your jobs. They already took your hairdressing jobs. You sisters that do hair, I feel sorry for you. So, why can't a woman keep a job? You got oppressors out there complaining that women don't get paid the same as men get paid. Meanwhile, men are taking all of the hairdressing jobs. Oh, sister, tell me if I'm lying out here. Dan, what if a sister wants to do hair? She can't do hair because there is some.
They even take our hair products, like our specifically for black women,
Mm-hmm.
and because a black woman would promote it so much, the white women would get upset and say, "Oh, it's not friendly for our hair. It doesn't do anything." So they'll buy out that black company and change the entire ingredient, everything, so it can fit better. We don't have any products for it. We really don't unless we make it ourselves.
Give her a hand. Well, once again, this is something that is allowed in America. No one complains about it. But if someone would dare just say Negroes to Hebrews, they lose their job. Well, of course, this is another job that's being taken by an oppressive man. So now the woman of the year is a man, is someone that was born a man. So that's another job that they've taken from a woman. They've taken this job from a woman. No one cares about it. No, women's groups, forget about women's groups. Women's groups are terrible. Women's groups are like the NAACP, useless. Women's groups are not defending women at all, even though transgender men are taking every job, even though men who are what, Yediah?
I was going to add to what you.
Oh, you had something. I thought I was wrong again.
They was talking online. They are awfully quiet. Basically, I'll just give you just.
Can they hear you?
Kind of
Go ahead.
So what happened is everybody's criticizing Gabrielle Union, and they said Gabrielle Union is talking all this stuff, but she didn't say nothing about that sister, that Shaquilla Robinson out of Mexico, when she was unalived by that
Alternative, LGBT person. Gabrielle Union is a dumpster for fluid. That's where fluid goes. Give that a hand. Throw out it, brother. I appreciate that. It's rough out here. I'm trying to say the right thing. All right. Women's groups don't defend women. Women's groups applaud men who take the jobs of women. They applaud them. They're giving men your jobs. They're giving men the opportunities that women should have. Commanding General Yohana defends women.
Right.
We defend women in here. Women's groups are giving your jobs. This is a job that a woman could have. A woman could have this job. But instead, an oppressive man will get this job that you sisters could have. You could promote her, she. You could be hairstylists. You could be interior decorators, but you can't, because women's groups support men who put wigs on and take your jobs. But in here, we would allow you to have that job. We would fight for your right to have that job. We wouldn't let a man take the job of a woman that a woman could have. Women's groups don't defend women. The ISUPK defends women. Everyone understands, all right? Let me take it back to John Moran. John Moran this week, what did he do? Show me the video of him showing a gun. And then show me what state he's in. I know you've heard of John Moran. He got the job that Kyrie Irving lost because he told people to read a book. And black people shouldn't read books, just like in the 1800s. You're not allowed to read books. John Moran told you to read a book. He lost his job and he lost his contract because of it. I'll say again. Kyrie Irving lost his job and lost his contract over a book. Now, you remember that if you know history. You remember how things from the past can come back again. They can come back. At one time, your eyes were burned out of your head for reading the Bible. Kyrie Irving lost his job for recommending a book, which means you're not allowed to read that book. You're hurt. You're hurt if you read that book. Play the John Moran thing. Then I got to go.
Okay.
You saying go up now, right?
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is the still shot. You just made a video of the flash.
Yeah, just show me that. Oh, you don't have the video.
Lots.
John Moran flashed a gun. He was in a nightclub. Is that what he was in? What city was he in? Does anyone know? In Denver, Colorado. In Denver, Colorado, John Moran flashed a gun. And he got suspended from his job indefinitely for flashing a gun. Alexa, is Denver, Colorado an open carry state?
Denver, Colorado is located in Colorado.
Alexa, is Denver, Colorado an open carry state?
Denver, Colorado is located in Colorado.
Alexa, can a person carry a gun in public in Denver, Colorado?
From Observer.com, the city of Denver does currently have a ban on open carry of firearms, but under state law, permit holders can carry concealed firearms in all areas except K through 12 schools, certain federal buildings, and private properties where the owner has banned it.
Meaning, if the owner has not banned a gun, you can carry concealed in Denver, Colorado. You can carry there in Denver, Colorado. Why can't he have a gun in Denver? Why not? Are the police going to arrest him for showing this gun in Denver, Colorado? Does anyone want to answer? Is it a crime to carry a gun in Denver, Colorado? Is it illegal to show a gun on social media? Then what the hell is the problem? Let me ask you a question. Do people do commercials with guns in their hands? They sell guns in Walmart. They sell them in Walmart. Every white man has a gun. Can you go hunting, or are you arrested for hunting? Guns are sold in America everywhere. Alexa, how many people in Colorado are gun owners?
From PewResearch.org, among those who live in rural areas, 46% say they are gun owners, compared with 28% of those who live in the suburbs and 19% in urban areas.
46% of the people who live in rural areas own guns. Everybody owns a gun. Why can't he have a gun and show a gun on social media? What's the crime? Why is that wrong? If he's not a felon, and if he can have a gun, why can't he show it? They sell them in the store. There's gun commercials on TV. Why can't he have a gun? But the minute people saw Ja Morant with a gun, you know what they thought? Thug, gangster, criminal. That is how we almost died in Purim. Now, Ja Morant is going to lose his job because he's a man with a gun in Colorado. What's going to happen to you when you have a legal gun in Colorado? Do you know? Raise your hand if you can tell me. What happens to you if you're a black man who looks like a thug, who looks like a criminal, even though no court has said you're a criminal? You haven't broken any laws, but you are simply carrying a gun like half the state of Colorado carries a gun. What's going to happen to you? Who knows? You're going to be killed by the police for carrying a gun. And when the policeman shoots you, what's going to be his defense in court? Sister? But you're in a state where everybody has a gun. He felt threatened. Give her a hand. He felt threatened. Thousands of years ago, a man went to the king to get permission to get all of us killed. And this permission was granted him. And it was accepted because the people he was killing were a people that everyone considered a threat. It doesn't have to be a law. It doesn't have to be. Guns are legal in Colorado. They're legal. You can have a gun. You can show a gun. Guns are sold. A gun is like a car. They sell cars. They own cars. Having a car is no more illegal than a gun in Colorado. You think white people don't have guns? They all have guns. If a white man flashed a gun, you know what you would say? Oh, well, he's a gun enthusiast. He's a gun enthusiast. You know how many guns our oppressor has? Can you even imagine? Alexa, what percentage of the state of Wyoming has guns?
From jackfromcasper.com, Wyoming gun ownership rate is 53.8%.
Whew. They don't consider them gangsters or criminals or thugs. But if you hold a gun, you're a gangster or a criminal. Why does that matter? Because that stigma is what is going to allow them to kill you, to unalive you. They're going to, and when they go to court and say, I was afraid of him, everyone will say, I understand that. Guess who else is afraid of black people? Other black people. Other black people are going to agree when they kill you. Other black people are saying, what's wrong with Ja Morant? He has a gun in Colorado. Everyone has a gun in Colorado. Everyone. Brother, out in Dallas, Texas, give Captain Yashamar a hand. Out in Dallas, Texas, this week at camp, an oppressor came out on his balcony and put a Confederate flag over his balcony, yelled, "Hi Hitler," and was holding a rifle. This happened this week. Captain Yashamar went to the police officer and said, listen, he has a rifle and we're having camp out here and he's yelling Heil Hitler. The policeman said he has a right to have that rifle. As long as he is not pointing it at anyone, as long as he is not threatening to shoot anyone, we can't do anything about it because he has a right in Dallas, Texas to carry a rifle, to hold it in his hand. 3 days later, this story came out about John Morant. He's losing his job over having a gun that he's pointing at no one, threatening no one with. But there's one difference. He is a black man, which means the stigma about black people is going to get him to lose his job. But you don't play basketball. You're not rich. They're going to murder you over it. You don't believe me? They're going to unalive you over it. Play the last video of the state senator in Tennessee. This video came out 1 week ago. 7 days. Last video. No problem. Any last questions up? Ooh, boy, who made this? The brother in the back? The Bye. I'd open up a coffee shop, Bob. You know what you're doing. Give him a hand. He's like, this coffee tastes exactly like, what's the brother in New York? God, forget his name. I'm terrible with names. But there's a brother in New York whose coffee tastes just like this, huh?
You have one quick question.
Go ahead.
Sir. Sister wants to know if you're the daughter of a heathen. Or what are you?
If your father is an Israelite, but your mother is a heathen, you are an Israelite.
Right.
You are whatever your father is. Right. If I plant an apple seed in Japan, what will grow? Say again? An apple. If I plant an apple seed in Mississippi, what will grow? An apple. It's an apple wherever it is. Wherever you plant it, it's an apple. The man carries the seed. The soil nourishes the seed and gives part of its DNA to the seed. But it is what the seed is. You understand? So if your mother is a heathen and your father is an Israelite, you better thank the Lord for your father because you're an Israelite. Now, if your father is a heathen, you are a heathen. That's it. There's nothing I can do for you. You are a heathen because your father is a heathen. When I say heathen, I mean anything other than so-called black, so-called Latino, or so-called North American Indian. Done. Play this. This is last week. Go ahead.
I do. And I was just wondering about, could I put an amendment on that? It would include hanging by a tree also. And also, I would like to sign on to your bill, sir. Thank you.
Fix that.
You know, lynching's a hate crime, right? You want to bring back lynching people? How racist are you exactly, Paul? It's like 1 to 10. 1 to 10, how racist?
Say again?
Stringing people up in trees, Paul?
I can't
Is
hear
that really
that.
what you want?
They heard it online.
It's funny to you? You know how offensive that is?
This is Tennessee, and they were proposing a crime bill, and he said, "Could you please, can we start to pass a law that brings back lynching?" This is 7 days ago. This is not 1968 or 63. This is 7 days ago. Do you think that Purim can't happen again? It can happen again. This is 7 days ago. What will precipitate it? Them believing you're a criminal, even though guns are legal everywhere. Every oppressor has a gun. They can walk down the street with a gun in most cities. But if you have a gun, you're a thug. You're a criminal. That stereotype is what aids oppressors in getting you killed. What should you do? Don't ever join that stereotype. John Morant can show a gun online because that is not illegal. It doesn't mean he's a thug. He's a gun enthusiast. He's a hunter. He likes to go to the range and target shoot. You know who he is? He's the countless movies that promote gun use. Have you seen John Wick? You don't know who John Wick is? Do you know how many movies in America promote guns? Promote, what about Taken? Can you pick? Oh, Jesus Christ. Every movie is some oppressor who picks up a gun, and because he has a gun, he defends his family. That Liam Neeson, he made about 4 movies called Taken, because he just somebody kidnapped his daughter, didn't kidnap his wife, kidnapped his grandkids. Whenever somebody kidnaps his kids or his wife, he grabs a gun and is a hero in that movie. John Wick, who knows? John Wick, you know they killed his dog, right? Every movie about John Wick, it started with the death of his dog. Someone unalived his dog, Yediah. Someone unalived his dog. John Wick unalived everybody. The movie made $1 billion. America promotes guns, promotes gun use. But if I hold a gun, I'm a thug. That's what they wanted to do in Purim. They want to paint all of us thugs and criminals so that when the time comes that they want to have the final solution, just like they had in Germany, no one complains because we're a hate group, because we're dangerous. I got to play one last video. Can I or can I not, Yediah? God damn it. Sister.
Is this similar as the same as the Jim Crow laws being passed again in Mississippi?
It's exactly the same thing. We showed you how politics is a waste of time, because in Mississippi, they just did the Jim Crow laws all over again, which means politics is a waste of 50 years of work, when really it would have been better fixing yourself for 50 years. With that, pass the class.